Do you know what's worse than a bad real estate agent? A bad lender. And that's why, as a real estate agent, it is so important that you have a process to properly vet your lender partners to see if they are going to be a good fit for you to work with them. In this episode, I'm going to share with you my process so that you can do exactly what I do to ask the right questions to see if the lenders know what they're talking about. And I know what's happening to you, right? You are likely getting all of the invitations to lunch and coffee and lenders that want to wine and dine you to convince you to work with them. And while a meal at Del Frisco or that, that extra bottle latte at Starbucks can be enticing, there has to be something more to the relationship than them just taking you out for a lunch and now you're sending them limitless referrals before you even know, like, are they qualified to get your people to the closing table? But when you follow these questions, and this is going to be an action-packed episode, so I want you to write down these questions. I guarantee you, you will actually be able to see if they can get the job done and make a better decision about who you are going to partner with. So here is the first question that I want you to ask the lender partner. So when you first sit down with the lender, this may sound crazy, but I want to know what their ideal client is or who their ideal client is and what loan products do they like doing the most. And this is what I'm saying for you. If you have a lender who like kills it with first-time home buyers, right? They have all of the programs, they have all of the resources, they have a background personal story of why they really are passionate about helping first-time home buyers. I want to know that because chances are that's where they're going to have the most experience. And when I send them the first-time home buyers, they are going to take care of that client with such care. Now, if you have a broker who is, let's just say, used to doing land deals, okay? Yeah, can they serve a first-time home buyer? Maybe they can, but they might miss some steps or have just a different level of patience and their process may not be exactly what a first-time home buyer needs. So I like to sit down with the lender straight up. I don't want to just send them blanketed leads, but I want to say, hey, what are you most comfortable doing? Like, where do you shine? And do y'all have any specific programs that maybe I'm not aware of, something that is just, a signature thing that you do at your company, so that if I find clients or if I encounter people that have these specific needs, I know automatically that this is your specialty, right? A lot of times you will have people that are hungry for business. It's almost like the niching down with real estate agents. I tell you all the time, like when you're trying to serve everybody, you don't end up serving anybody well. When you're working with a lender, I want to be very clear on what they do well so that you are matching the right people with them. And asking that question up front, I'm telling you, it will save you a lot of headache. And honestly, it'll also like cue you in on certain programs or certain things that they're able to do with lending that you might not have known about. So definitely ask them who is their ideal client, what type of programs do they really, really slam dunk, so that you have a good idea of who to send to them. Now, this is the next question that I want you to have for the lender. I want to know what your communication style is in terms of not only working with me as the real estate agent, but also working with the client, right? I have some lenders that are very, they're very 2025, very tech savvy, where everything is done in a portal. They're going to send the client videos. They have an app. It definitely is more millennial futuristic-ish, right? But then I have another preferred lender that I've been working with forever. She has been in the business for 20 years. And yes, she has access to those things, but she really works better a little old school, having conversations with the clients, taking the app over the phone. Just her method of how she communicates and how she gathers the information, it looks different. I also want to know, okay, how are you going to communicate with me as the agent? Once you get the pre-approval, are you going to just email it to me, or are you going to call me and talk it through, right? Are we going to have a conversation to make sure that you have, talked to them about down payment and closing costs? I want you also to know, as the lender, how I communicate best, right? Is it via text? Is it via email? Just to make sure that we are communicating most effectively so that we can get to the finish line for our clients. So knowing their communication style and understanding if it's going to work best for you and how you run your business is going to be a really, really big deal. Now, here's the next question you want to know. Going a little deeper on the communication, I want to clearly understand your process, okay? And when I say I want to understand your process, from the time that, even long before I send you a contract, from the time that I refer you out, first of all, how do you like to be referred? Do you want me to just send your phone number? Do you want us to be on a joint text message? Do you want us to be on a joint email? And again, making sure that this works for how you work your business. But I want to know, like, what's the process that you prefer? And then once I have referred someone to you to understand their purchasing power, how long can I expect to hear back from you? How soon after you get that lead are you going to be reaching out? Who's going to be reaching out? Is it going to be the actual loan officer who's reaching out? Or do you have a processor or an assistant who takes the information? I want to know exactly what the client experience is going to be from that start. And then when it is time for us to issue a pre-approval, I want to make sure that we have clarity and that you've gone deep with the clients to talk about all of the things related to purchasing a home, okay? So have you talked about down payment? Have you talked about taxes? Have you talked real numbers about insurance? Okay, because insurance looks a lot different in the past couple of years than it has before. Is the client really clear on not only what they are approved for, but what numbers make sense in their lives? And I want, like for me, I really want a lender who's not only going to get us the pre-approval, but is also committed to educating the clients on all of their options, just like I am, okay? But then let's talk about when we get under contract, okay? Once we're under contract, when I'm in the offering process, okay, how involved can you be in that offering process? Am I going to be able to copy you on the offer to the listing agent? Can I expect a reply? Can I expect you to actually call the listing agent to verify that you have fully vetted the client? Like, all of these things are very important to me. And again, what I find just in life in general is that when you set these expectations up front and you have these conversations, then we are all on the same page. I literally had a conversation with a lender once, and they just pretty much told me, like, hey, you know, I know you have some lenders who work day in and day out, and I promise you that I will be very, very attentive, but I protect my family time. So if you send me a message after 8 p.m., you might not get a response back from me until the next day. And I totally respect that, but I really respect that he put it out there because, you know, there are situations where we might be scrambling to get an offer in and we want a response. And if we're not getting a response from the lender, we may be very frustrated. But by asking the question and setting that expectation up ahead of time, you know exactly who's going to work for certain scenarios. So finding that out. And then also you want to find out as you are in escrow, right? I'm going to ask questions for the lender like, okay, what is your average ratio? Like from when you get a contract, how many of them actually get to closing? Like, what is your percentage? What is your success rate when it comes to closing these properties? And this is a very important key because oftentimes, I'm not even just going to blame it on lenders, but sometimes when things fall out in contract, the people who are responsible kind of try to shift responsibility. And I just want to know what your track record is, right? Like, I'm not even about to pass judgment, but I want to know, what is your track record and what does that look like? And here is another very, very, very important question for me. When I'm partnering with a lender partner, I want a partner. Okay, I'm not looking for somebody where we're just going to hit it and quit it with one deal and, you know, maybe I'll holler at you next year for another deal. I'm looking for someone where there's going to be some reciprocity in how we're doing this business together. Like, are they interested in helping me pull off client events, right? Are they interested in helping me with education as it relates to the clients, right? Can I count on them to support certain causes that we deem important where we want to support our clients? I want a partnership, and that, you know, building that longevity in relationship is truly, truly, truly important to me. And I'm going to encourage you to make it important to you. And now here is something else, more of a comment that I want you to bring up in this interview process instead of a question, but I am very upfront with any lender that I'm partnering with to let them know that, my fiduciary responsibility, your fiduciary responsibility is to your client. And as a result of that, I don't ever want them to feel like in order to work with me, they are like locked into working with this one person. Now, I'm going to give my honest feedback on what my experience, what my client's experience has been, which is why I'm referring out, right? I like to refer with confidence, but I also want to honestly let any lender know that I'm working with that you will be one of at least 3 names that I will pass along to my clients, because ultimately it is their decision who they decide to work with. And now let me tell you why I'm upfront about this, because some people, they get their panties in a bunch, right? They get really tense to know that they are going to have to compete for the business. And again, I'm not trying to back them in a corner where I'm leveraging one person against the other, but it is my job to give my client options and encourage them to do their own due diligence, right? Who is it that you may have wanted to work with, or, who do you want to interview? But I'm very upfront with lenders from the very beginning to say, hey, you don't get ownership of every single person that I work with. Like, don't act funny if you see me on the internet closing a house and it's not a house that you closed. Just know that I will always give you the opportunity if I deem that we are a good fit for each other. And Bestie, I have created a guide for you just to help you with some of these questions and more that will help you solidify your lender partners. Go ahead and head on over to rosemarylewis.com/lender or wherever you're listening to this episode, and you'll be able to download that guide. And now in our next video, I'm going to share with you where to actually find these lenders.